We had the best week of volleyball. The sun was shining, the athletes were smiling, and overall for me, it was so much fun. If the athletes had half as much fun as I had, we were doing something right. However, behind all of this was the worry and the concern that we were doing everything we could to make sure no one would catch COVID because of our process. The good thing is we have two governing bodies who are dictating much of the process we have to follow. A lack of attention to this detail can, will, and might result in the governing bodies removing our ability to have these sessions. Like many of the other things in my life, I reviewed the process that we used to accomplish the tasks and found we were a little bit lacking. Our cleaning process, our mask process, the distancing process, the group size all seemed to be working for us. If you did not notice the time I sent my email out last night that talked about the daily consent form, it was late. This is the one aspect which is keeping me up and stressing me out. The seriousness of not having the daily waiver for each participant is a major gap in our process. It will hinder our ability to continue and open up the program so it allows us to go back to what we consider to be normal. On Wednesday of last week, we had 6 participants who didn't complete the daily waiver. Then on Thursday, we did a little bit better, and we had less people not completing the waiver. For this reason, I think it's necessary to be a little bit harsher and clean up the process. So I've cleaned up the form that's online, and I think we have to do some of the things that I put in my email last night, but I wanted to clarify them. The waiver has to be done on the day of the sessions. The second thing is it has to be done by 1 p.m. on the day of the session so that I have time to chase any participants who haven't completed the task. A lot of people would say, well, you shouldn't have to chase anybody anyways. They should just be able to do it. But that's not the reality. We all have busy lives and we are all going to forget at some time. But we can't afford to do that with these daily waivers. It has to be done before 1 because at 1:30, I go to the courts and start to set up for the 2 o'clock session. And then I'm there until about 8 o'clock at night. And during that time, I'm busy, I'm coaching, or I'm cleaning, or I'm doing something in order to make sure the other processes are in place. So we put in a few harsh realities that I have to start enforcing. The first one is the first time a participant arrives at the court without having completed the form by 1 o'clock on the session day, I'm going to ask them to go home for that session. They will not be able to participate because we will lose the opportunity to continue to offer the sessions. The second time the participant arrives at the court without having completed the form by 1 p.m. on the session day, I'll have to send them home for that session as well, and then I will also remove them from the program. I'll give them their money back, so the money is not an issue in my mind. What the issue is that the person is not taking that role of completing that waiver seriously and putting at risk the other 66 participants that we have in the program. It also puts the Academy business totally at risk. If either one of the governing bodies doesn't think that the Academy is doing a good job of the processes that they put in place, they will remove my ability to run my business. And I don't think I'm willing to have that happen because it's not only the beach that we'll lose, we'll also lose the camps. And the camps are normally very full. We had 90 athletes in them last year, so we're talking about 150 athletes that we could lose the opportunity for those 150 athletes by someone just not thinking it's important enough to complete that one form. So the other issue that is starting to keep me up at night is volleyball shouldn't be the center of your universe. You should have a well-rounded life and you should do all sorts of stuff. However, in this day and age, we have to be accountable for our actions, as a single person's behavior can dramatically affect or impact all the other participants that we have. I've received some comments from some of the parents that my son or daughter will not be here for this time, or we're out of the city, we're doing something else. I think families should do all sorts of different things in their life. If what they're doing is going against the regulations that are put forth by the province, then I have to figure out what I'm going to do in that scenario. An example is, what happens if a person, and where do we draw the line in the sand? What happens if a participant with their family decides that they're going to go outside the country? They're going to fly to another country because they have planned a vacation and then they would like to come back. When they come back, they have to be quarantined for 14 days. That 14 days, the quarantine is not something that is, they put them in prison or anything like that. It's self-imposed. If they didn't tell anybody and we find out about it, do I remove the person from the program? Now, having said that, where's the line? What happens if the person went to another province? We've been told by the federal government that we shouldn't leave the province yet, and the provinces aren't open. So the travel between provinces is not something that they condone or would like to have happen. So what happens if someone decides they'd like to go to Winnipeg? What happens if they'd like to go to Ontario? What happens if they'd like to go to Quebec? And then when they come back, do we let them continue to play? I'm looking for guidance on here because I haven't come up with a decision yet. What happens if they go to a COVID hotspot in the province? Like, what happens if we know that there's an issue with the north or in the La Ronge area or something like that, and we know that one of our participants went there? Do I tell them that they can't come to the session? Do I tell them they can't come for 14 days so they miss 2 weeks of training? I don't have an answer, you guys, so I need some help. So tell me where you think you should draw the line. Those are the things that are keeping me up. I'm felt bad after sending that email because I think it was done late at night and I was tired, and so I thought I would just do a quick little video rather than write you a novel. So thank you for listening, and I will be in touch.